Okay, let's talk about a real challenge. How do you get an entire family with all its different personalities, different dreams, to actually aim for the same future? It's something every couple thinks about. Today, we're going to break down a surprisingly simple and honestly powerful system one family uses to build their shared vision year after year.
I mean, it's a huge question, right? It's one thing for you to have your own personal goals, but how do you weave them together with your partner's goals and build something bigger, something that actually excites and motivates both of you? Seriously, where do you even begin?
Well, the answer, it turns out, isn't some complex app or a fancy, expensive planner. It's something you can grab at any office supply store. Just a large, simple whiteboard. This, right here, becomes the command center for their family's entire future.
They call it their family vision board, and it's designed for just one purpose: long-term alignment. It's all about keeping them on the same page, turning those abstract someday dreams into a concrete, visible plan they can see every day. Now, the structure of this board is really the key. It's split into two totally distinct parts. The bottom half that holds the big stuff, their foundational vision, this is their long-term why, and it pretty much stays the same for years. Then you've got the top half, which is all about the here and now, their annual what. These are the actionable goals that they update every single year. It's a genius way to separate the destination from the journey. So let's zoom in on that foundation, on the why. We're not talking about small tasks or to-do lists here. This is about the fundamental purpose, the real meaning behind all the hard work in the daily hustle.
And just think about how personal and powerful these whys are. I mean, we are talking about huge life goals: buying land, building their own home, supporting a family member with a disability. It's even about those really tangible feelings of freedom, like being able to take your family out to dinner and pick up the bill without even thinking about it. These are the things that give meaning to the day-to-day grind. And here's exactly why having this written down is so important. It's not just a list, it's an anchor. Before they even start planning their new year, they reread this section. And as the quote says, it regrounds them. It reminds them of the ultimate destination before they even start to draw the map for that year's journey.
All right, so let's move up to the top half of the board and see how this all connects. This is where that big, abstract vision gets translated into a concrete action plan for the next 12 months.
They break their yearly goals into a few key categories. You've got individual goals, which make sure personal growth keeps happening. You know, like the husband training for a 5K. Then there are shared goals to help them grow together, like reading books or listening to the same podcasts. And of course, there are financial goals that serve the whole family, like saving up for a much-needed minivan.
You know, what's really smart is that these goals aren't set in stone for life. They're actually designed to evolve. Early on, their focus was super intense on the financial side, just getting out of debt. Once they knocked that out, the focus shifted to personal growth. And now with two young kids, their goals are all about immediate, practical family needs. The system just adapts with their lives.
So how does this all actually come together? It's not just a board hanging on the wall, it's a whole ritual. A dedicated time they set aside every year to reflect and to plan. The process itself is so refreshingly simple. Around the new year, they just sit down together and talk. First, they reflect on the year that just passed, celebrating the wins, learning from the misses. Then, they reground themselves by rereading their why. And only then do they start brainstorming new goals for the year to write on that top half of the board.
Of course, any system is only as good as your ability to actually stick with it. And they've learned some really crucial lessons over the years about how to make this thing work for the long haul.
The most important principle they learned is so simple: less is more. It is so tempting to get all excited and just overload the board with goals. But they found that just leads to feeling overwhelmed and defeated. The real key is to be selective, to focus on just a few goals that will truly move the needle for them that year. And here's that whole philosophy in action. Before they had kids, a long list of ambitious goals felt energizing. But now, raising two young children and working full-time, they've intentionally scaled way back. Fewer, clearer goals mean less stress and more focused effort. And this is so crucial. The system has to serve your current life phase, not the other way around.
And you know, maybe the most freeing part of this entire approach is the mindset. The system is fluid. It is totally okay if you don't check every single box by December 31st. The whole point of the big ambitious goals isn't necessarily 100% completion. It's to push you, to make you grow and stretch way beyond your comfort zone.
So, what's the real takeaway here? The whiteboard isn't about creating some perfect, rigid plan that you have to follow to the letter. It's about creating and maintaining a shared direction, a North Star that you and your partner can always look to.
making sure that no matter what twists and turns life takes, you're both still walking the same path, together.
Which kind of leaves us with one last thought to take away. Forget the dozens of resolutions for just a moment. If you had to put just one thing on the bottom half of your own board, what is that one big why that could reground and give real direction to everything you do next year?